Hey everybody! Welcome to Stuff, among other things, where we talk about stuff.
And other things.
I'm Nick.
I'm Bruce.
And today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. Cars. I like cars. You like cars?
Yeah, and it's kind of my thing. I've been a bit of an enthusiast my whole life and continue to be. I work in the automotive industry, and I enjoy them a great deal. So this is kind of more my podcast this week. But we both enjoy them, so here we are.
Indeed. I'm a big fan of, car shows. And I did work in the car industry when I was a teenager.
Yeah, exactly.
Briefly. Napa.
Yeah.
That was exciting.
Yeah,
No, it wasn't exciting.
It wasn't exciting.
Not at all.
But what is exciting is, so what we kind of, our theme that we're going for, it's the same thing we kind of did last week, is we're going to kind of tell you where we come from and our particular preferred styles of things. And then you can kind of see like, okay, this is what they like, and then this is why they're saying these things.
Indeed.
So I'll let you go ahead and kick it off. Let's talk about cars we really like, our favorite types of vehicles, old, new, doesn't really matter. What's your favorite kind of car?
When it comes to my favorite kind of car, I've really been spoiled by car shows such as like Top Gear and Grand Tour, just anything that has those three guys in it. Jeremy Clarkson, that beautiful man, he's both a blessing and a curse to me. He got me on the budget supercar. Well, I don't know what you could call it necessarily, the budget supercar. We're still talking, over $100,000. There's no way I'll ever be able to, own one.
Yeah, it's quite a budget.
Yeah, like let's be real. I drive a Kia. I'll never ever own one of these. But going off of that, my number one choice of a car, if I had to choose, Dodge Viper.
Okay.
I love the Dodge Viper.
Really?
It's stupid American muscle.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is straight Carroll Shelby right there.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Like, it looks beautiful. It's a V10. It goes like a bat out of hell. It looks like, I don't know, Jesus?
Yeah, and one of the really cool, interesting aspects about the Viper is that it up until very recently, and actually they just discontinued this guy, but it was a driver's car in the sense that if you did not have the fortitude, if you could not handle the machine, you would pay an extreme penalty. They didn't have traction control and aspects like that. You got 10 cylinders and everything they had, and you better be able to put them to the ground or you're going to be upside down. So
it was literally an Acme rocket.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You strap on, you just hope that you don't die.
Oh, yeah. The first generation, they had the side pipes on there because it looked cool, and people kept burning the backs of their legs on them because they would get out. Like, this car, it was relentless. It did not forgive in any way. It was either you were awesome enough to drive it or you weren't, and you better stay away.
Exactly. And there were so many, different versions of it and hyped up, copies and this and that.
Oh, yeah. ACRs.
Yep. Oh, my gosh. I got to see one on the interstate probably like a year or two ago. The thing just flew by. I think I was doing like 70 miles an hour and it was a blur.
Yeah, and then he shifted into third gear.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, those things were nasty. It's a shame that Chrysler got away from them. From what I understand, it was all crash regulations. It was more of a federal decision. They couldn't fit in the side impact, the curtain style airbags and things like that. They just couldn't put them in that double bubble roof. So.
There's nothing to them,
Oh, yeah. I mean, you wreck one of those, you die.
Pretty much.
That's it.
Well, unless it's like a head-on collision kind of deal, because there is 43 feet of car in front of you.
Yeah, all nose, no button.
Gosh. But moving on. Next up, I would say would probably be like the Nissan GTR.
Yes, Godzilla. Yes,
absolutely. It's such a technological beast. Everything about that car is it's phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
and they're not the most expensive thing. You can buy used ones in, well, there was one dude that I saw on Facebook. He was like, I don't know, like 150, 200 miles away. He was selling his for like $55,000.
Okay.
Yeah. And for a car that amazing, I mean, that's like finding a golden ticket.
Oh yeah. That car is a supercar killer at a budget. I mean, V6, obviously turbocharged, all-wheel drive system. And when they originally came out, now this car has actually been around for like 10 years, 10 plus years now, and it's still quite formidable. I mean, there are still companies out there that are comparing how well their vehicles do to that. But when it came out originally, they were under three figures. I think they started in the $80,000-ish range, like top 80s.
Right.
Yeah, and
I'm pretty sure that's about right.
I mean, now I think they're like 120, 130 or something like that, but they're amazing. One really cool thing is all their engines are hand built, and you know this because there's a placard on the engine with the name of the engineer, the gentleman that put that engine together.
That's just so cool to me.
Yeah, it really is.
It's such a personalized touch from a company that is selling thousands of cars a day.
Yeah, super global company, and they're doing that. You're part of a club when you buy the R35 or any of the previous GTRs, but the newest one. It's not inline six like the original one, so there's some diehards out there that say the new one isn't as cool with its all-wheel drive, but it's a technological feat and a really, really cool car. So I love both your picks. What else you got?
For finishing out my top three, I have to go McLaren.
Okay.
The one that I chose would be the McLaren P1.
Okay, yeah, you got to go with the Halo.
Yeah, the problem with McLaren is they have like 11,000 different models.
Yeah.
There's so many of them, and they all have their pros. They all have... what cons are there? Oh, they're expensive. That's the only con I can really think of. They're amazing. But I chose the P1 just for the fact, number one, it's stunning in every aspect. If you look at it, it reminds me of the Viper. Just such beautiful lines.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the biggest output of an engine. It's a 3.8 liter twin turbo V8. However, it has an electric motor in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Putting out 903 horsepower.
Yeah, that is an amazing amount of power, especially out of a vehicle this light. I mean, even though it's technically a hybrid and it has to have the weight of all that system, still extremely light and just ridiculous. The things they do with that, a space shuttle without wings.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds.
Good night.
Electronically limited to 217 miles an hour.
Yeah, like one of those gentleman's agreements where they're like, 220 is a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, like where do you get 217 from? Like at 217, you're a smear on the road if you sneeze.
Oh yeah. Trees going by, a blur, just one wall of tree.
Now I know that's what it's like limited to do, but what do you think that car could do? And 903 horsepower.
Yeah, flat out.
It's Veyron territory.
You're probably limited more by the individual components, things like the tires and whatnot, being able to withstand the speeds than the vehicle itself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, well, look at the Veyron at top speed at 253 for just the base model, not like the new high end dollar ones, whatever. Well, they're all high end, but the one that's famous for 1,001 horsepower.
Yeah, the original Veyron.
At top speed, the tires are designed to last for 20 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
That's it, and they're $5,000 a piece or something stupid.
Yeah. Luckily, you empty the tank on that before you can ever run for that long in that kind of speed range. But,
it's kind of a safety catch in there.
Right.
But quick honorable mentions that I put in there: Acura NSX.
Yeah, absolutely. Should have been a Honda. I feel like it should have been a Honda. I know that the original one was an Acura overseas, but it should have been a Honda here.
It is a Honda.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the same.
The Lexus LFA.
Yes, absolutely. Where did that come from those guys? I love that. Another 10-cylinder car.
Yeah, that was 9 years in production, and then it's just like, bam, guess what? We got a supercar.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, I think they started designing it and then completely scrapped the project and started again. It's like the second variant of the car, and it was completely different the second time around.
It's like whenever they did the movie Brave. The whole thing was originally done in winter, and they showed it to, I guess, whoever head honcho was in charge, and he's like, make it summer.
Oh.
And they had to scrap the entire film and start from the beginning. But anyhow, last thing I got, anything by Aston Martin.
Oh yeah, just gorgeous cars.
It doesn't matter what it is. They're all so pretty.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god,
all the
they're pretty.
DVs and everything. Absolutely. Yeah. That's a company that's they definitely put form first, but they don't forget function.
I mean, they're another one that does all the hand built engines, this and that.
Oh yeah. Proper cars.
Proper cars. So what do you got on your list, man?
So mine is I did not aim for the stars like you did. I now realize that I am very boring in the vehicles I like. Now,
No. There's a difference between being boring and being practical.
Yeah, and that's my issue. That's my big thing is I'm a very utilitarian person. So I have all of the appreciation of the world for these high-end cars. Pagani, Koenigsegg, I mean, all of those, they are.
Yeah, but I mean, how many car
amazing.
seats can you fit into a Pagani?
Yeah, I mean, no, that's exactly it. In fact, I personally, and I'm not that big of a guy, but I'm kind of a big guy.
Dude, you're a huge guy. You're like 6'1,000.
Yeah, I couldn't fit in most of those dream cars that, posters on the wall kind of cars.
Can you get a human-sized shoehorn?
Yeah, that's what I would need.
Grease you up in some Crisco.
You know what?
Running start.
Side note: one time years ago, I had the opportunity to hop in a Pontiac Fiero, and
No way.
yeah, I was a dude that I knew, and he's like, "Hey, you want to hop in?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man." And I shoved myself in this car, and I literally, so to clarify for people that don't know, I'm 6'5", a little over 300 pounds. I'm a big boy. Not huge, not like outlandish. I'm at the top of like.
It's not comical. He looks proportionate.
Right, yeah. I'm at the top of normal before you get into like, oh my gosh.
What's wrong with this guy?
So anyways, I get into this Fiero and I'm like, this thing is teeny. This is so cool. Like, it's a little street legal go-kart. That's really awesome. And I went to get out and I could not. I ended up having to remove my left shoe from within the car. I had to reach with my right arm under my right leg to my left foot and remove my left shoe to get back out of the car. Once I got in, there was no getting back out. So,
like I said, you just gotta cover yourself in butter.
Yeah, well, that's what I needed. So, yeah, things like that. Small cars, and of course, all of the major cars out there that are the high end, supercars and hyper cars. They're not made for people my size. So I kind of glossed past those, and as cool as they are, and I went with a far more utilitarian list. So first up on my list is actually a vehicle I own a version of. I don't have any of the newer ones, but I've always just been enamored by the Jeep Wrangler and its variants. Going back through the CJs and the MBs and
so
all the way back to Willys. That's exactly it. That's the great word for it. Is it's iconic. It's very American, and Jeep knows.
Going all the way back to Willys, man.
Yeah. So really love the Jeep Wranglers. I have a TJ. The first generation with coil springs, and they're super fun. They're extremely capable. They're not necessarily the most practical. I know practicality is kind of my thing, but hopping in with your buddies and stuff, they're not comfortable at all, but they're not meant to be.
Remember when we made a 5,000-mile road trip in your car?
Oh yeah, I drove one to Alaska and back from Maryland, and that was cramped for a guy of my size. That was rough. In fact, there was one instance when I was driving up, because for those that don't know, Nick rode back with me, flew up and rode back with me, but I made the trip up myself. This was years ago, out of high school, and on the way up, I was getting like kind of leg crampy, kind of driving across the plains from Winnipeg to Edmonton. And so I got my Jeep, which had a 5-speed manual transmission. Once I get up into fifth gear, you really leave it there until you run out of gas. You get to the next service station. So I would get into fifth gear, throw my right leg over the center console into the passenger side footwell, and then just modulate the throttle with my left foot to give my right leg some rest. So I was like sitting sideways in my
That's one way to do
vehicle.
it.
Yeah, so... not practical for me.
No.
But super fun and very capable. So I love the Jeep Wrangler. The new ones that just came out, the JLs, I think they're just so awesome. They're purists that every generation that comes out, it's not a Jeep anymore. They said that.
Whatever.
Yeah, they said that with the YJs back in the late 80s when they replaced the CJs. They finally started calling them Wranglers.
Oh, no, square headlights.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly it. People were calling them the Yuppie Jeep, YJ for...
Someone introduced Jeep. A blue M&M. No.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Then you get the TJs, first generation with coil springs. Now they're not doing leaf springs anymore. So every generation gets that. And the newest ones are, they're getting too comfortable. And I'm like, they're selling a buttload of these.
Exactly. You see them everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Toledo is cranking these bad boys out.
I would love to have one, but don't they start at like $40,000?
They really do. Yeah, that's one of the issues today. And you see that with that style of vehicle. And it's actually not as bad as some of the other ones. You have vehicles like the Toyota 4Runner, which was a very capable, off-roading vehicle. And as time has gone by, these things are getting almost premium in price. Like they're very they're near Lexus kind of pricing. for these new ones. Still very capable, not nearly as much as maybe some of the old ones. But.
It's like when me and you were talking earlier today. We were talking about the cost of pickup trucks.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a pickup truck starting at $50,000.
Yeah.
To me, it's literally half a car. You're not going to do much at the back other than haul stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Why are you paying $50,000 for half the roof? You know, because people will pay it.
And that's starting prices. You know, the 50K, that gets you, you're not base model territory, but you're not much above it either.
It comes with a CD player.
Yeah.
And that's outdated technology. But
yeah, absolutely. Next up on my list is literally my dream car. I could probably get one in a few years if I can find one that's used and not totally ragged out. So this is one of those that I'm aiming to try to acquire if I can. I thought I had a lead on one not too long ago and it ended up being bust, but one of these days I hope to own a Ford Focus RS. And you know, when you hear...
Wait, can you fit in one?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I've sat in the STs and stuff, so I'm sure it's the same. But,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's one of those things that when you say dream car list, you don't think Ford Focus, you know, the economy car. That's the basic car.
But this is a Ford Focus that's pissed off and can go.
It is, yeah. I mean, they're amazing what they're doing with these vehicles. Now, you know, back in, say, 2004, 2005 range era, if you got the Mustang GT, the angriest Mustang, other than like the specialty ones and things like that, but like the angriest of the regular Mustangs, you had the 4.6 liter V8. And it cranked out. It was lucky to hit like high 200s. I think it was like 260 horse or something in that range. Somebody can clarify that in the comments for me. I don't care. Either way, not quite 300 horsepower out of this thing. High 200s, and that was the bee's knees. That was the car to have. You know, 10, 15 years ago. The Ford Focus RS puts out 350 horsepower out of its 2.3 liter four-cylinder. It's literally half of the old Mustang GT's engine. Half the cylinders, half the displacement, 350 awesome horsepower.
And that's a lot of horsepower going to two wheels in the front of the car.
Well, actually, the RS, because the ST is the front-wheel drive model, the RS has all-wheel drive.
No.
Yes, it is, and it was developed. Ford brought in Ken Block to help them develop this thing. Yeah, so
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's
so
super
it's a 350
horsepower.
Horsepower. Excuse me. 350 horsepower. Go anywhere you want car.
Yeah. You could. I mean, this is a year-round type vehicle, and a little nod to Ken Block. They actually included a mode called drift mode, where when you flipped it to this, it would send a majority of the horsepower actually to the rear axle. So what really started out as an economy car became something that you could do donuts in.
That's ridiculous.
So yeah, that car is just killer, and by killer they also just killed it, unfortunately. So Ford, you know, they're for those that don't know, Ford's getting ready to kind of get rid of all of their cars except for a couple models. They're going to keep like the Fiesta and the Mustang because they kind of can't get rid of the Mustang, or somebody will
but the Fiesta.
yeah, that's the car that they show. So
why get rid of, you know, the Taurus or the Fusion?
Yeah, and great cars,
and keep the Fiesta.
Yeah, so that's getting ready to go, and the RS is done. Like, this is the last year for it, so it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for me to get one. Not that I was going to buy one new, but it's going to make it for a little bit more limited. But one day I will have one. I'll get me an RS, and I will be happy forever in that car.
There you go.
Yeah.
What else you got on your list?
So the third thing on the list, and we were kind of shooting for a top three, and I managed to narrow it down to three, and there's a bunch of other vehicles I love, but
you can have honorable mentions like I did.
Yeah. The first two were kind of sporting in their own way, somewhat practical. I mean, the Ford Focus is it's a four-door hatchback. For all of those people out there that call them five-door vehicles, that's annoying. Nobody gets in through the rear hatch. It's a four-door hatchback. So fairly capable. You know, you can throw your buds in there with you.
Right.
The Jeep Wrangler does have a four-door version of it. Some people argued, you know, when the JKs came out that watered it down. I think it just made them sell a buttload. And honestly, sometimes a longer wheelbase helps in certain off-roading
Well, it also appeals to a broader audience.
Exactly. Yeah, you need to sell them. You know, you can't just make the coolest thing ever that only appeals to 1% of the population. You have to get out there. So good on Jeep for that. That's not a big deal for me. I don't really care. I would personally go with a 2-door myself, but only as a secondary vehicle because I would want a RS, which is a 4-door.
Well, I would take the 4-door. It's just going to make it so much easier to get the family in.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a big fan of coupes in general. But my third vehicle is, it's super practical, but kind of in a completely different way, and I think it's the future of vehicles. That's the Tesla Model S. Love Tesla. Love what's going on with that. I have a lot of friends and colleagues in the automotive industry that they don't care for it. Their big thing is it ain't a car. If it don't have a V8 or it doesn't have a rumble to it or anything of that nature.
How dare it be silent? How dare it be good for the
it's just for them. It's a glorified toaster with wheels. I don't care. These things are amazing. It actually tops out my list as far as pricing goes. My other vehicles, they're in the $40,000 range,
Oh, yeah,
30s and
absolutely.
40s, and up for the Wrangler if you get the top 4-door model. But the Tesla Model S, they're like, what, 135 to 150? And I'm specifically talking about the P100D for people that care. Tesla does have a rear-wheel drive variant of it. I like the P100D, D standing for dual motor, all-wheel drive, and all of the horsepower. 680 horsepower, I think, is what they're running now, and like all of the torque. You could literally change the rotation of the Earth based on torque. So the Model S P100D is just a phenomenal car. I love the clean design of it and things of that nature. These guys are.
Oh God, I'm sorry. I'm dropping things.
Technical difficulties.
Sorry about that, guys.
All right, we're back.
And we're back.
Anyways, these things are just really cool. I love the design on them. I love the ginormous screen inside. They're very
Yeah, it's like the world's biggest iPad.
Yeah, it really is. And,
it's so cool.
And one really cool thing is that when Elon Musk was developing it, he really, for the sake of drag, because coefficient of drag and aerodynamics play a lot in the role of designing them.
Oh yeah.
They didn't even want side mirrors on it. He was really preferring to go with something like a small camera lens with screens inside. For your side mirror capabilities, but the government kind of shut that down. They said that's not legal yet, so they have to test that and decide.
Stop messing with our designs, government.
Yeah, so but either way,
government.
Really, really cool car. It's fast. It's hella fast. It's actually 0 to 60 faster than the McLaren that's on the list. It's
there's so many YouTube channels. I can't remember what the name of the one I'm thinking of in particular, but all it is just a guy that took all the stuff out of his Tesla and he just drag races people.
Oh yeah,
and he wipes the floor with
he
their
tears
faces.
them up.
That's
absolutely
ridiculous.
Well, even in completely stock form, these guys are hitting 2.5 seconds 0 to 60 times.
I'm hearing all torque.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm hearing that some of the newer models are actually beating that. People are able to take them out and hit more like 2.4 0 to 60 times. That is just ridiculous. I mean, that pulls your face to the back of your head fast.
Yeah. And I have a lot of face. I'm a fat boy.
Yeah, I mean, it's all back there behind your ears now because that thing is hella quick.
Exactly.
And quick is the main term for it. They're not super fast. Everything else kind of eventually passes them. But initially, they're just amazing. So love me some Tesla. I really think they are the future. Electric cars in general. I think until Tesla, it was kind of a novelty. You had the Nissan Leaf. It's nice. It's cute. Whatever. It's it looks like a little mini fridge on wheels. I didn't care that electric cars up until Tesla really made themselves look like electric cars. I don't like that design thing where it's like, hey, if I can't tell it's an electric car from 100 yards away, I don't want to make it. Teslas are beautiful cars as well. So really cool in that. So those are my top 3 favorites, but I do have some nods. One specific type of car, not necessarily brand or anything like that, but I have a special place in my heart for station wagons.
Oh dear God!
Yeah, I love them. I don't, the original family truckster. Whether it be a Buick Roadmaster, a Volvo 700 series, which are super cool cars. Yeah. My favorite station wagon ever, and it's not even all that old, even though most of them are because they're pretty well gone, is the Cadillac CTS-V. Amazing. It was more or less an entry level Corvette, but with like room for 20.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of which one was that? It was the one that was like the Charger. It was the Magnum.
Yeah, the Magnum. Yeah, absolutely. When they came out with that rear-wheel drive platform, Dodge went with it and they made the Magnum. So they had a 2-door, a 4-door sedan, and then the 4-door wagon.
That's amazing.
It was barely a wagon. Like the roof really sloped down a lot at the back. The rear window is like 4 inches tall, but super cool, kind of gangster, which was appropriate back in the mid 2000s, anyways.
Pretty much.
But yeah, the Cadillac CTS-V almost made my list. They don't make my preferred version anymore because I like the ones with the manual transmission, and I don't think they offer that anymore. They still have the CTSs and the ATSs, but the V was just killer. I love it. And actually, that's kind of the theme of my favorite cars, minus the Tesla, is I really love vehicles with manual transmissions.
Oh, absolutely.
It's kind of my thing. It's what I drive. I have a pickup truck, 6-speed manual. I've got my Jeep, 5-speed manual. I have my little runabout car. You drive a Kia. I drive a Kia. It's got a 5-speed.
Well, mine doesn't have a 5-speed, but I got a slap shift.
Yeah, there you go. You can still kind of select your gears on that. So
Kinda.
I like 3 pedals myself. 2 legs, 3 pedals is where it's supposed to be. I got a motorcycle. Got some 4-wheelers that are all manual. Even my riding lawnmower has a clutch.
Yeah, that thing's a beast.
I'm a diehard clutch guy.
Real briefly, when the world ends, there's going to be just several things left: Keith Richards,
Of course.
cockroaches,
Yep.
that damn Baby Shark song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in your lawnmower.
yeah. The old Craftsman, man.
There's 4 things.
It's like it's weird. It's like a 6-speed manual, but it's really a 3-speed with a transfer case. I don't know. It's got a high-low gearbox to it, and like 4th gear is actually geared lower than 3rd gear. It's really weird, but I don't know. It's really cool, and I love manual transmissions, and that's kind of where we're taking this podcast.
Yeah.
We can talk about cars in various different ways, but to be perfectly honest, we're not that well suited to it. I'm not Chris Harris.
I know what cars look like. That's about as far as I go.
And I don't have all the stats in front of me. I'm not going to take the time to look it all up. You can see millions of different things on YouTube and whatnot that go over cars. So what we're here to talk about today is kind of my preferred aspect of vehicles, and that's the manual transmission
Or the lack thereof.
Exactly.
It seems like, every single car company is getting rid of manual transmissions.
Yeah, they're gone. Yeah.
Every single one. And, in order to find one, it's seriously finding a unicorn.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, actually just recently, this is recorded in January 2019, it was just announced that the last pickup truck manufacturing company here in the U.S., they're phasing out their manual transmissions and their heavy duties. That's Ram, which used to be Dodge, but whatever. Ram's not going to do it anymore. They were the last one where you could get a manual transmission in it. I think the last Chevy was like 05 or 06. They stopped putting the manuals in them. Ford, they did offer manual transmissions in their 08 through 10 generation of Super Duty pickup trucks, but only like 1% of those trucks built had a manual, and after that they just phased them out when they went to the next generation. Ram's done. Ram said, no more. We're not doing the manual transmissions anymore.
See, what I hate is everyone's going over to like the dial transmission.
Yeah, that's the thing now. Like, am I adjusting the HVAC? Am I getting a little heat on my toes? No, I'm putting it in reverse.
Exactly. Like, oh yeah, I love this song. Let me turn this up, and now I'm parked on the highway.
Yeah, and it's kind of a terrible idea. Now, different manufacturers have kind of played with the automatic transmission selector for years. There was somebody might have to correct me on this. I think Plymouth, somebody back in the day, they had like a push button thing over to the left side of the column and things like that. Stop messing with that stuff. Automotive manufacturers. I understand that a rotary knob saves room and gives you kind of a cleaner design. You have more room for the 28 cup holders that Americans demand in their vehicles today. But it's getting a bit weird. And the funny thing is look at any action movie from like the last forever. If there's a car chase scene, even if it has an automatic, which is fine, there's plenty of those that have them.
Yeah, but there's nothing exciting about watching an automatic car in a car chase. Look at me, just stomp on the gas pedal, I'm holding the wheel, and that's it.
Right, yeah, but the very beginning of that car chase is always hop in the car, slam it in a gear. Even if you're thrown in a drive, there is nothing cool about hopping in the car and then selecting the knob over to the right 7 degrees. There's nothing cool about that. Like you can't, like automotive manufacturers are killing action movies. Jason Statham has no work now. He is poor, homeless. He lost it all because of automatic transmission.
Yeah, now he's resorted to eating rice-a-roni.
Yeah. So
out of a Dixie cup.
Not a fan of that design.
Well, what is your honest opinion? Why have they gotten rid of manual transmissions? Is it a cost factor?
Public demand, honestly. I mean, to be perfectly honest, it costs less to produce and maintain a manual transmission. Today's automatic transmission rebuild prices they're skyrocketing. 3-4 grand for a transmission rebuild is now kind of a deal. You know, yeah. So whereas
That's not cool.
You know, you can get into clutches for a lot less. So it's not really saving money in that specific instance. They're not saving per vehicle so much as nobody's buying them. So they're just it makes more sense to design one car, one center console, no need for clutch linkage, no need to have two different ECUs to modulate between the two different transmissions. They can just build one car. They can put an automatic in it and be done with it, and everybody's going to buy them.
It seems like, you know, manual transmissions were, you know, the commonplace for how many decades?
Oh yeah, I mean,
everything had a manual transmission, and like, what happened? Did people just get lazy?
Yeah. Yes, that's it. That's really it. I mean, the automatic transmission was genuinely a luxury item whenever they first became prominent. You know, back in the 40s and especially the 50s is when they started having it. It was kind of funny because back then they had like 2-speed automatics and things of that, you know, the power glides and stuff. So yeah, that was it. It was a luxury item, just like air conditioning or electric windows. You were top notch. You were you know, the envy of your peers.
The creme de la creme.
Yeah. If your vehicle had an automatic transmission, ooh wow, Bob's doing well. He must have got that bonus this year. They just got the car with the automatic.
Oh yeah, that's whenever you actually cared about your neighbors.
Yeah. So that's where they started out. It was just a convenience thing. And there are things today on vehicles that you wouldn't want to go back to. Nobody cares. Nobody's nostalgic about wind-up windows. Nobody wants to reach across their car and try to wind down the passenger side window.
Yeah. Remember, what kind of air conditioner do you got? Oh, I got 455. You know, 4 windows down at 55 miles an hour.
That joke is an antique. You have to be careful with it. Nobody actually has heard that in a long time.
I've heard it.
So automatics are just they're taking the place of the manual because people don't care anymore.
Yeah, it just seems, you know, as you know, time progresses, you know, people get lazier, things get easier, which, I mean, both a blessing and a curse. You know?
I mean, I love my microwave. I prefer the taste of oven-baked things, but sometimes I want to pop something in the nukerwave and have it to eat in 6 minutes instead of 60.
It's not going to be long until we have, you know, the microwave that you have in The Fifth Element. Take a few flavor thingies, pop it into a bowl, press a button, voila, you got a chicken.
Yeah, and I don't care who says they won't eat it. They're going to eat it.
Oh, I'm going to eat it. Are you kidding me? Good God, I'd eat anything. I'm fat. Anyhow, what does this do for transmission manufacturers? Now, was it necessarily something that was done, you know, in-house for every car company that was using manual transmissions, or is it more of like an aftermarket that they're resourcing from? So
it works both ways, and that's kind of in the general automotive field. Some stuff is done in-house. They produce it themselves. Sometimes it's a whole lot easier to contract with another company that's what they do. I am concerned for companies, you know, Tremec, there was a time up until pretty much right now, if you built yourself a little race car, you know, you had yourself a Camaro or something like that, and you're going out and you're killing cones with it. If you had the Tremec 5-speed or something of that nature, you had the transmission. They were bulletproof. Yeah, everybody loved those things. I don't know what Tremec is doing. I'm sure they're definitely concerned about their future. And there are other brands that do that, you know, that make primarily manual transmissions. I know ZF over the years, they had a buttload of the really good ones, but they're getting into automatics, and they're kind of at the forefront of automatic transmission technology now. So they've figured it out. But Tremec, I don't know what those guys are doing. I haven't looked into it, but I am concerned for them now that you mention it.
No, yeah, absolutely. Now, is this something that's just happening in the United States, or is this a worldwide thing? Because I know you were mentioning that Ram, you know, the last one in America was making those.
Yeah, it was.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many car companies that we'll never see in the United States. You know, what about them? Does it apply to them?
I think as you go up the wage scale, you know, into developed countries, it's going to be more prominent for automatics. I think there's just a point where, you know, well-to-do nations, they would prefer that convenience. You know, third world countries, sometimes that goes back to the cost factor.
That's my thought.
It does cost less to make a vehicle with a manual transmission, and you get, you know, far more miles out of them without having to do major rebuilds and things like that. So
exactly.
When you go to places like Brazil and India and things of that nature, you're gonna find manual transmissions all over the place. I think it's all on the economy. It really is. I think as people are going to make more money, they're going to say, "Screw that! I don't want to shift my own gears anymore."
Yeah, but as every year goes on, and they decrease the amount of manual transmissions that are manufactured, sold, installed into vehicles.
Yeah.
What is that going to mean for the future of manual transmissions? Is there going to be like we wake up one day and poof, nothing's left other than what's out there currently?
I wouldn't be surprised. Well, as we're getting into electric vehicles, absolutely, there's no place for a manual transmission in electric vehicles because they don't need a transmission. So there will be a day that they're just gone. There won't be a need for them. But part of the reason for that is automatics are getting so much better now. It used to be like the top tier option for convenience, but when it came to performance, boy, you better have 4 on the floor. That's
right.
The old 3-speed automatics. They just couldn't hang. You had to really wind them out. They never really were in the right power band unless you just had a whole lot of cubic inches in front of it.
But now we have automatic transmissions that have 10 speeds in them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Probably even more. I'm just not aware of which ones they would be.
Yeah. Ford and Chevy just got together and co-built a 10-speed automatic. So the 10-speed that you get in the new Camaro is also pretty much the same transmission. Some tuning differences, obviously.
Right.
As you would get an F-150, which is funny for the people that are like, I only buy Ford. I'm like, well, yeah, I guess.
Well, there are also the same people that only buy American. I buy my Fords. Your Ford wasn't built in the United States, buddy.
Well, yeah, I mean those were, but Dodge Rams, they're built in Mexico and things like that. There's a lot of trucks that are built.
Well, it's funny that Hyundai is more of an American company than that.
Oh yeah, you have Subarus in Georgia, I think. Volkswagens and I think they're in Georgia too.
Something like that. Well, I'm pretty sure Hyundai built that $4 billion plant. Where was it? Alabama?
Yeah, something like that. I think Subaru's in Indiana too. I can't remember. So that's a whole different story.
Oh yeah, that's another podcast.
American
right
vehels, how American they are. It's and then you're talking. That's just assembly. You have to figure where they're sourcing parts from as well.
Exactly. Well, it's like the Toyota Prius. Like there was a whole discussion about is it actually good for the environment because of how many different places and how many different ways that things are sourced for it.
Oh yeah, all the precious metals. That
go into just mining for the metals for the batteries.
Yeah, I've heard, and I don't know if this is accurate by any means. I've heard that over the lifespan of the vehicle, sometimes having that big honking V8 body on frame pickup truck is actually better for the environment than some of these vehicles that have these more sophisticated components that necessitate these minerals.
Which is sad when you kind of think about it.
Yeah,
but I mean there's so many kind of changing topics here. There's so many different versions of that type of vehicle that are out there. Electric vehicles, hybrids, which are using a little bit of both worlds. Oh, yeah. Fuel cells.
Yeah, hydrogen, absolutely.
There are so many that are starting to get into that. Perfect example here, Toyota. I don't know how to pronounce it. Don't ask me. I'm sure I'm gonna completely screw this up. Please don't make fun of me. Mirai. Mirai?
I'm not sure. I'm not even sure what that model is. What is that?
It's a hydrogen car that they're coming out with.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing, okay? When you buy it, they give you $15,000 worth of hydrogen. It's 3 years of fuel.
Wow.
Yeah, it comes with the car, and of course, it's going to be eligible for federal and state tax incentives,
all kinds of rebates,
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But one of the disadvantages for an electric car is plugging it into your car or into fill in the blank wherever it is, and you have to sit in there and wait.
Charge times, yeah, absolutely.
Well, not with this, 5 minutes.
If you can find that station, though, the infrastructure is still not there for hydrogen. Right.
Well,
but it's more common.
That's why I'm thinking they're giving you the 3 years because there's this thing.
It gives you 3 years to find your filler station.
Exactly.
I gotta drive 100 miles to fill up at the back of an industrial fuels plant.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, hydrogen might be pretty far away from it, but electric is coming a long way. They're popping up all over the place. As a matter of fact, for those of you that don't know, we live in Western Maryland. It is the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's the part of Maryland people don't realize is Maryland. They're like, is that West Virginia? Is that
Yeah. To people that are local, if you say Western Maryland, they think, oh, Frederick. No. There's another 2 hours past that. Yeah. We're the part that kind of hangs off. Well, we're in the little section. That doesn't matter, okay? We're in the middle of nowhere. And there is a Tesla charging station in Grantsville. which is...
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Grantsville, Maryland has a Tesla station.
Cornucopia Cafe.
No kidding.
Actually, I think they have two
Is
of
it
them.
next to like where they can dock a horse or whatever you call it? I don't know what it's called. Whenever you take your horse.
Oh, I'm sure there's a place for Amish
like a horse
to put
right,
their horse and buggy.
Yeah, right next to an electric car. That's awesome.
Yeah. But for us, I use this term all the time. It's finding a unicorn, You don't expect that kind of thing for where we're at. Mm-hmm. So it just goes to show you, it doesn't matter where you're at. It's an upcoming technology, and people are really starting to embrace it.
Yeah, and it's only going to get better. These charge times will go down eventually.
The thing that really concerns me is the range. The ranges every day get better and better and better.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, like if let's say for example, there's gas stations all over the place. You know?
Oh yeah.
But not necessarily a place to charge your car.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go out on a family trip and you don't plan ahead, there's a good chance you're going to be trying to run an extension cord to the gas station next door. You know what I mean?
And I agree, but I also I beg people, and I'm definitely not necessarily on this side of the argument, but I can kind of play devil's advocate. I beg people to really question how often they do that.
Right.
How often are you doing these 400 or 500 mile road trips and up, or even 250 miles, which is kind of the general top end of most ranges on electric cars.
That seems about right.
Miles. I drive like 32 miles a day.
Yeah.
It's very rare. I fill up my fuel tank once every 3 weeks, 4 weeks or something like that. It takes me forever to go through fuel if I don't go out and do anything, which I don't because I'm boring. So I know that's a big thing, and they have all these like range anxiety issues and things of that nature. I wonder, is that accurate, or is it something that's applicable? Are you really going to be concerned about it? If you're going to take that road trip, maybe there's maybe Amtrak is the answer to your range anxiety. Is like, hey, the one time every 5 years we want to take a drive to Florida. I don't know, the Grand Canyon. Where do people really drive that far? Maybe we should figure on fine.
Well,
it's better.
if you run out of juice and you don't plan ahead, it's your own stupid fault.
Yeah, and that's anything. There were times whenever I was driving, from Alaska and things like that, a little Jeep Wrangler that has like a 2-gallon gas tank. I had additional gallon cans on the back, on the cargo carrier.
You never know, just in case.
I think we carried like 10 gallons of gas with us because that might have ran out. You come down the road and the service
there might not be
out.
there might not be a gas station for hundreds of miles.
Oh yeah, and that I actually got in a position at one point driving from Homer up to, I don't know if we were to Anchorage yet, or maybe we were past Anchorage on our way to Fairbanks. This was years ago with another friend. I didn't run out of gas, but I've been sipping fumes long enough that I just chose to pull off and shut the thing down. Dude stays with the vehicle while I start walking because I didn't want to burn up a fuel pump if I did in fact run out and things like that. So, the range thing, is it that big of a deal? Are people really driving that far today?
Yeah, absolutely. Most people's commutes, to and from work. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, even people that drive well into a city, those folks that are maybe they're living in New Jersey but working in New York City, they're not going to want to drive into the city. Anyways, they're an idiot if they do want to. But those or even Maryland-based, for the local guys, those people that are maybe living in Frederick and commuting all the way to Baltimore for their job or something of that nature. That's a possibility. The Tesla will still get you there and back. You're going to have to plug it in every night, but what else are you going to do with your car?
Well, speaking about plugging it in, okay. Now, I'm going to put a disclaimer out there. I think electric cars are amazing. I think, it's definitely going to be the future. I'm all for it.
Okay.
Just as a devil's advocate, like you were saying, okay? Let's say you buy an electric car.
Okay.
Okay? You take it home from the dealership. Now what? It doesn't plug into a standard wall socket, does it?
Well, they do. They have like 110 outlets, and they take it's like 12 or 16 hours. It
better be overnight.
Yeah, they're really like a secondary or almost an emergency scenario. So yeah, you do have to invest in your vehicle at home. You know, and Tesla has they have walls. Like Tesla will come in and straight up replace a wall in your house, and it will have batteries in it. But yeah,
that's not cheap either.
Oh no, it's not, and you have to really factor that in when you're buying it. I think it's like $3,000 just for the wall or something like that. And then you got to get it installed. So yeah, that's definitely something that you need to keep in mind. You have to consider is you're going to have some hardware put in at home.
Right.
But that also applies to other things. You don't buy a lawnmower and bring it home and then say, I don't have a gas can. I guess I can't mow my lawn. Obviously, that's on a much lower, monetary scale, obviously. Right. But I think it's something that people do need to consider, but it can be circumvented. These companies are making these systems. And again, that's another technology that's just going to go down in price.
Well, here's another thought. Once again, just being devil's advocate.
Sure.
Okay. You take it home, you plug your car into your wall, and you're thinking, man, I'm not burning gas. This is great for the environment. Not thinking, where's your electricity coming from?
Yeah.
Like, your electricity bill is not going to stay the same. Like, my house is 110 years old. It's something stupid. It's not the greatest electricity bill because I'm sure things can be updated, things can be changed, so on and so forth.
Lights can be turned off when you leave the room, people.
Turn off your air conditioner when you're not using it because you're not going to be at home all day. We're getting off topic, but like for our energy around here, doesn't it come from AES Warrior Run down in Cumberland? I'm pretty sure that is straight up coal.
Yeah, and that's the prominent system, and that's a more political debate that I'm going to try to steer away from. I don't want to get into coal being good, bad, all this stuff.
But I'm just saying, like, you're being good for the environment, but at the same time, are you being worse for the environment?
You could be.
Because you're burning more electricity, burning more coal, blah, 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 blah.
Could be. And that's where it comes into companies that, and I hate to keep going back to Tesla, but they're just the most prominent. They now have, I don't know if they're out yet, but they're in development, if not, roof tiles now. They're solar power, solar roof tiles.
Yeah, I saw that they were really getting into that.
Yes.
That's a cool idea.
It is, and it's supposed to be like, by the time it really kicks off and becomes popular enough, it's not supposed to really cost you any more than just replacing your roof with good old-fashioned asphalt-based tiles or whatever.
I just hope it doesn't hail.
They're supposed to be pretty resilient. Obviously, I guess enough hail can do some damage, but
that can happen anywhere.
Something like that. So yeah, you might want to consider like, hey, this is a lifestyle change. I'm not just purchasing a new vehicle. I'm not just upgrading to the next mode of transportation that will run for X amount of years. I really need to kind of change my way of living to reflect that and to make it all work together. And you can invest into solar panels, and they're going down in price consistently, not as quick now as they were in the past, but again, I'm not getting into politics.
No, of course. Well, if you look at like everything is kind of going that way of life.
Yeah.
Being vegan's now the cool thing to do. I have a gluten allergy because it's cool.
Well,
there are people that are allergic to gluten. It's a very, very small group of people, and I feel
celiac disease.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And those people have to put up with these sons of anyhow. I'm completely getting off topic, but it seems like every single day everyone's trying to do something better for the environment. Yeah. Like if I had a nickel for every single time I heard someone about recycling within a day, I'd probably retire. And it's a good thing. Like there are so many places on the earth where everything has been just completely destroyed, by pollution. I mean, look how many, rivers in India you would not even go within 500 miles of. It's absolutely insane. And for everyone to start going this direction, I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't agree with the term everyone. Well, again, we're not going to get into that conversation, but yeah, the for the folks that are what I would call enlightened and reasonable about our future, that's definitely something that they need to keep in mind and in a direction that they need to go. And I hope to someday have some solar pieces on my house.
Wouldn't that be the coolest thing?
Panels, yeah. No, it would. It would be great.
Imagine using that. To power your Tesla.
Oh, yeah. And there are some areas and municipalities you'd have to kind of check with the local codes and things like that, where if you produce enough energy during peak hours, middle of the day, middle of summer.
Put it back to the grid.
Yeah, your meter will actually turn backwards. Well, they don't really turn anymore; they're all digital, more or less. But
still,
you could literally be paid to produce this money. So definitely something to consider. It's a huge investment, but so is putting a roof on in general. Nobody's doing that for $125. So
exactly. But if you look, how many car companies are trying to get? I don't want to call it a fad.
Okay.
It just seems like it's the cool thing to do. But I mean, Teslas, obviously, everything that they do. Kia has a couple. They have the Kia Niro. They have the Soul EV, which is the electric version of my car.
Mm-hmm.
It looks so cool.
It looks like a Soul. That's what I love about it. Again,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You got the Chevy Bolt. You got the Hyundai Kona, the Ioniq, the Nissan Leaf. Right now, still, you have the Ford Focus Electric. You have the Fusion Energy and ERGI.
Ooh.
There's so many cool things. Like going back to whenever I was talking about supercars, BMW i8.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that is an impressive car.
Good Lord.
It looks like the future.
It looks like it's straight out of Tron.
Yeah, it really does. It really is.
But there's so many different, flavors, you want to call it?
Yeah.
There's an electric car for everybody.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that now electric car is turning less into its own category and then just a variation of all the other categories. I don't think electric car just needs to be, well, there's a car and it's electric, but okay, there's an electric van, there's an electric SUV and things of that nature. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm excited. I'm excited for the future. Again, I have an exceptional appreciation for gas-powered vehicles. I really don't want people to assume that I'm just abandoning that. I love, push rods. I'm
a camshaft guy.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I appreciate technology in general. Anytime something's impressive, whether it's a 707 horsepower Hellcat, which actually isn't even all that powerful now that we've got 800 horsepower Demons and whatnot. But I can appreciate that, and I can appreciate the Teslas and things like that. Pretty equally. Engineering is what fascinates me.
Awesome. Well, I think we covered a whole lot of cool info. One thing I wanted to talk about, to close up our episode today, it seems like there are a lot of people that are getting away from vehicles in general. Like every single day, families are going down to one vehicle for everybody. People are commuting in different ways. You see public transportation being utilized much more. People are going over to things like mopeds, motorcycles, bicycles, things that aren't going to be, a full-on V8 engine, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
So vehicles in general, are they a good investment still?
Absolutely not. But they weren't before. Granted, there are a handful of them out there that you could call an investment, and it's just because of the nature of the automotive enthusiast in general. Just recently at auction, there was the Shelby. It's like the Shelby GT500 Super Snake. I think it was the '67 model. It was like the first one. It was the first Shelby GT500 Super Snake. Just sold at auction for something like $2.2 million.
Oh, only? I'll take
that car was what I think $4,000 new or something. Something like $4,200. And you pay $25 for the extra racing stripes. But so there are some vehicles and some aspects of vehicles that are good investments, but as a whole, they're terrible investments.
Well, every single mile you drive, you're depreciating it.
Yeah, and that's something we need to keep in mind. To compare to houses, you don't want to say like, oh, I bought my house for $200,000, 4 years ago, and it's still worth about $130 now. I'm really hoping that by the time we move in 10 years, I can still get a good $48,000 out of it. That would just absolutely cripple everyone. Everybody would be absolutely pure depression. Houses aren't bad investments in some cases. Like automobiles, you lose your absolute bottle. But it's a wearable component. They're not in the same shape. Like you can keep houses maintained and upgrade them and things like that. Vehicles just kind of keep getting crappier as you drive them. They're disposable.
Absolutely. Well, perfect example. A few years ago, in Oakland, as a matter of fact, a guy.
Oakland, Maryland,
not Oakland, California, where there's nothing there. Anyhow, a guy bought a Mustang, drove it off the lot, drove it across the street to Denny's, had lunch, and realized he made a big mistake. He was never going to be able to afford this car, so he took it back to the dealership to return it. They would return it $10,000 less.
Yeah, it's used.
It's a used vehicle. Yeah. You bought it. You drove it.
You put that 1/10 of a mile on it.
It doesn't matter how far you drove it. If it was an inch or a mile, guess what? It's a used vehicle, and it just depreciated in value.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we have to remember is everybody drives a used vehicle. If you have an automobile and you're driving it, it's used. I don't care if you picked it up this morning from your dealership lot. It's not used. You can't go and buy...
Whose name is on the title.
Yeah, you can't go and buy that brand new minivan this morning and then sell it to somebody else this afternoon and say it's brand new. It's not anymore.
By definition.
So yeah, terrible investments. Just not something... It's unfortunate because there's really no way to circumvent it. It's something that again, they're disposable.
Yeah, and that's why I was so amazed at trucks being $50,000. It's just, it blows my mind.
Oh yeah, and up, yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's about all I got, Bruce. Do you have anything you wanted to add?
I have to go down through the notes real quick and see. I had a few different things on there that things that I was concerned about. There was one note here that actually you had made, and we just kind of never touched on it. Does the ability to drive a manual transmission date people?
Oh yeah,
it's. I don't know that it necessarily dates people so much as it's kind of a novelty. It's amazing.
Well, look at the younger generations that don't know what the older technologies were.
Kids that look at cassettes and have no idea.
Yeah. What is this? What's called a VHS tape?
Yeah.
Well, same thing's going to happen with CDs. I guarantee it.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah. But absolutely, it definitely dates you.
Yeah.
If you know not necessarily know what a manual is, but if you know how to drive one, you grew up in a different age.
Well, yes, but I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one. It can date you.
Right.
I don't know that it necessarily does. I think there's still that niche out there. There's still those people that are, and again, that you typically have to be an enthusiast today.
It's not, absolutely.
You don't buy the manual transmission because it's the economical option. You buy it because you wanted one.
Mm-hmm. You purposely went out and purchased that
and
one.
there's some pride to it. It's like the folks here in that especially in this region that can eat Chinese food with chopsticks.
Mm-hmm.
Not very many people around here at least can do it, and those that can, they have a little bit of pride about themselves. Hey, I don't
dude. Most of the people that can, there's so many people that don't even know how to spell their name.
yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I just bumped my mic.
You're okay. Sorry about that.
So I read a little bit before when I was doing some pre-notes for the show that on a recent poll, 18% of Americans can drive a manual transmission. There's some pride in it now. It's going to just keep going downhill, but it's kind of neat. And there's another note in here from you specifically. It's at this point an anti-theft device.
Right.
You really kind of don't have to worry nearly as much about somebody messing with your vehicle if it's got 3 pedals. They don't know what to do with it. It's kind of fun in that sense.
I think it's funny. You said 18% of people know how to drive a manual.
Americans, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is a smaller percentage than people that think that the Earth is actually flat.
Yeah.
That's sad.
I bet, there probably are some Okay, so that Venn diagram does cross over. I was going to say, I bet they don't cross over. I'm sure they do.
Oh, absolutely they do. I guarantee it.
Yeah. So there's some good old boys out there driving them. But, it's I don't necessarily agree that it dates people. It can, but I think it's now something to be proud of. It's an ability. It's an acquired ability. Some people can, skateboard. I have a bad example for that. But either way, and a lot of people can't, and those that can are...
It's more or less a hobby at this point.
Yeah, it really is. And it shows in the vehicles that are still putting out manual transmissions. Right. Sports cars, and that's almost it. And not even like a lot of the sports cars anymore. Most of the fastest ones, they don't do it. The new Toyota Supra is getting ready to come out, a cooperation with BMW. It's going to have like a 7-speed automatic. You're not going to get a 5, a manual transmission, stick shift, and it.
The only way you're going to get it is if you do a homemade swap.
And nobody will. Today's cars are just too technologically advanced.
Too many computers and whatnot.
It's exactly it. Yeah, everything's drive-by-wire now. You don't have throttle cables. You don't have a cable that connects the pedal that your foot operates to the top of the engine. Where
it's not mechanical. It's digital.
Yeah, it's exactly it. It's all in the computer now. So it's not going to happen. People, and I've heard folks say like, I wish there was a way, or I'm going to find a way. You're not. Just drive your automatic and think fondly on better days. And When you're stuck in traffic and you're doing bumper to bumper and you're going from 0 to 4 miles per hour, be so thankful you don't have the manual. Right. You know, as much as I'm an enthusiast of them, there are times when I'm like, oh, geez, I wish I could just kind of like drift along as everybody else does and inch my way. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm not overly heartbroken about it. I will continue to try to acquire manual transmissions as long as I can. But let's face it, today's automatics, they outperform. They really do. They outperform. Actually, my particular pickup truck, which does have a 6-speed manual in it, an equivalent automatic version of that truck. Same engine, same cab, bed, all that stuff. Same configuration other than transmission. Like the automatic version is a good second quicker in the quarter mile. It's they just shift so much faster now today. Right. You're talking millisecond shifts, and the ability to skip gears. That's really cool. So you're getting some of the benefits of a CVT, which we didn't really touch on today, but the continuously variable transmission you find in things like snowmobiles and ATVs and things of that nature. They're in some cars as well. There's plenty of them out there that have them. A lot of the Japanese manufacturers use them specifically. And they're kind of cool, but in that they have this almost infinite ratio of gears as you're driving, but there's really no pure like heart to it. It feels like a conveyance. It feels like just something that's there to get the job done, and there's no fun in a CVT transmission. Anybody that drives one that cares about driving can agree with that. So these newer transmissions where maybe they're 10-speed and they can skip gears and things like that and keep you in those proper rev ranges are pretty cool. These 10 speeds that are hitting, if you're accelerating hard, maybe they'll hit second, fourth, sixth, seventh, and hold seventh up to top speed before they shift into 10th whenever you back off. So
it's just whatever the car needs. It's what it's going to put it in.
Yeah. So today's, I'm going to pour one out for the manual transmission, but there's no benefit to them anymore. And I'm going to hurt some feelings by saying that. There really isn't. It's all just a preference for sporting type situations.
It's for people that have to be doing something with their right hand when they're driving.
Yeah, and it works. It keeps me attentive. I definitely, I can't talk on the phone while I'm driving. It's very hard to, if you're in and out of gears.
Well, because you don't have Bluetooth in that thing.
Yeah, I need to get something about that. But and to be legal, you're not supposed to talk on the cell phone. But that's a good thing. The manual transmission, it keeps your eyes on the road. You have to pay attention. If your engine's bogging down, hey, maybe you got to shift gears and stop picking your nose or whatever you're doing.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up this episode. Quick little shout out. Today we got a chance to watch the new Ramble on the Mountain podcast.
Yes, yeah.
And those guys gave us the biggest shout out on the planet.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate the fact that it wasn't like a hey, check these guys out anyways, but they really
they took the time to explain why they were excited for us, and guys, we love you.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Thank you so much. And
I almost
you guys,
cried.
For our listeners, all three of you, definitely want you to.
I think we have like 11 now.
Oh wow, double digits.
Yeah.
Please check them out. And there's a handful of really cool guys that are just kind of talking about life in general, just like us, and they're just really interesting. So.
And I'll make sure to post some links in the description below.
Yes.
Yeah, that way you can definitely just check them out and go to town with them. But thank you so much, guys. That was the coolest way to wake up this morning.
Yeah, that made our day. So we appreciate that, and we appreciate everybody that's listening to this. And
absolutely,
as we continue with this, we're still kind of playing it by ear what this podcast is.
Yeah. We were talking today. Which episode are we going to do this week?
Yeah, and what is it going to be about? So we started off with music. Obviously, now we're into cars. We're going to bounce around a little bit. It's probably going to come back to music more than anything.
We like music.
I don't know if we're going to have another car related one or not, but
I would cool. love to. I would love to.
We might.
There's millions of different things we can talk about.
Right. Yeah. So maybe shout at us. Hey, let us know. What do you talk about? What do you chit chat about? What goes through your mind when you're putting shampoo in your hair in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you're Nick, because he doesn't have any hair.
Excuse me.
So
you're not wrong.
Let us know what you want to hear us chit chat about. And in the meantime, I guess we're just going to keep chit chatting about whatever.
Pretty much until people tell us otherwise.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's us, and that's what we're doing. So, hey, thanks for tuning in this time around.
Absolutely, and check us out on the web at stuffamongotherthings.com. We got all of our links up there to all the different ways you can subscribe to our podcast. And if you don't want to subscribe to the podcast, just click the play button, and voila, it's going to play on the website. It's all ready to rock and roll. We got links onto Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, which we'll have up, whenever this episode gets released. We're just gonna have fun with it. So thank you so much for tuning in. Stay around for next week, and we'll holler at you guys later.
See ya.
Peace.